The explosion sent tremors through the control room windows, and the alarms blared loud enough to deafen. Elon Musk clenched his jaw as he watched flames erupt from the Starship's engine section on the monitors. "What do the data say, Jax?" he demanded, fighting to keep the urgency out of his voice. The young engineer Jax was drenched in sweat at his keyboard. "We've got a CH4 leak. Pressure's dropping. One of the Raptor engines is nearing critical," he called out, fingers flying over the data stream. In the comms, test pilot Nora cut through the chaos, gripping her headset. "Command module is separating her headset. Command module is separating, but the heat shield readings are erratic," she shouted. Elon made the call in an instant. "Abort the test. Isolate the leak," he ordered, locking eyes with Jax. The tension in the control room shattered the moment the Starship's engines cut out. Jax scanned the flashing warnings. "Could be a turbopump failure. The methane line pressure regulators are overheating," he reported, watching Elon's brow furrow. Nora muttered as she secured her gear. "If we don't want to repeat next test, we'll need a more aggressive cooling system." Elon braced his hands on the console. "Redesign the regulators. Add carbon composite cooling channels to balance the pressure waves," he said, glancing at Jax, who was already taking notes. The next morning, the team stood ready at the launch pad to test the modified engine section. Jax ran final checks. Pressure stable. Temp within limits, he confirmed, meeting Elon's gaze. Nora secured her helmet. Heat shield sensors green. "We're good to go." When the Starship's engines fired again, the blue flames from the Raptors turned the Texas night into day. As the vibration shook the monitors in the control room, Jax, glued to his headset, shouted, "All engines nominal. Takeoff weight over 1,200 tons, he shouted. Nora's eyes were glued to the thermal camera images. Ring of fire stable, 10 seconds to supersonic passage. 12 kilometers above the ground, Starship's hull broke through the first layers of the atmosphere, leaving a shock wave in its wake. But Elon's attention was on a purple graphic flashing on the screen in the lower left corner. Heat shield temperature anomaly. At 68 seconds into the launch, the shield sensors on Starship's nose recorded an anomalous spike. Elon pulled Jax by the arm. "Look, this place didn't exceed 1,200 degrees Celsius in the simulations. Now it's 1,450 degrees Celsius and rising," he said, not hiding the alarm in his voice. Jax quickly scanned the data stream. The thermal conductivity of the carbon silicon cladding is lower than expected. Friction is stressing localized spots. Nora added, "If this spot reaches 2,000 degrees Celsius on the return from orbit, the shield will be breached." Elon pounded his fist on the table. "Why are we only realizing this now? We lost Falcon 1 because of the same mistake. The reason was a last-minute change 24 hours ago." Jax raised his voice. "The manufacturer replaced the connecting screws in the shield panels with a lightened version. They reduced heat conduction." Elon's face flushed. "Who approved this?" he thundered. "You did, to cut costs," Nora said quietly. Everyone in the room froze. Elon took a breath for a moment. "It's my fault, but we'll fix it," he sighed. "They rushed to the lab. They used aluminum alloy instead of titanium. The melting point is 300 degrees Celsius lower." Jax determined as he examined the defective screws under the microscope. Elon said, "Replace all the screws immediately. We can't go to Mars, but we can save the return to Earth." Elon said, "What about the Starship in orbit? We don't have the material to bring it back," protested Nora. Elon looked at the screen. "Testing will continue," he said as Starship took the blue curve of the Earth behind it. "If the shield doesn't hold, at least the data will survive." Jax was about to say, "But," Elon cut him off. "If we don't take risks, we'll never know. Starship was born from the wreckage of Falcon 1. This is a new beginning." As the Starship entered the atmosphere, sparks from its left wing turned the screens red. But Elon was recording the 4 critical seconds the shield held. Here's the data that will save the next prototype. The structural temperature has reached 2,100 degrees Celsius, shouted Nora, pointing to the expanding red spot on the thermal map. Increase the return angle by 5 degrees, ordered Elon, his voice as hard as metal. If we change the angle, centrifugal force could tear the hull apart, protested Jax, typing frantically on the keyboard. If we don't take risks, we'll disintegrate anyway, Elon said, as he had on the Falcon 9's first failed landing. Nora locked the navigation data, changing angle 3, 2, 1 mark. Starship lurched suddenly, sparks on the left wing turning into a white beam of light, Jax said. The heat is dissipating. The solid part of the shield is taking the brunt of the load, he exclaimed as he watched the red areas on the screen turn green. How many seconds of life do we have left? Asked Elon, keeping his composure. 17 seconds max, said Nora, her voice strained. Just then, Jax remembered the self-healing polymer test in the lab. Let's divert the emergency coolant to the left wing, he yelled, turning to Elon. But we were saving that fluid for the landing, retorted Nora. Elon didn't hesitate for a moment. Use it now. If we live long enough to think about landing, victory is ours. The system worked like crazy. Minus 180 degrees Celsius cryogenic liquid vaporized and absorbed heat as it passed through the left wing. The red on the screens turned orange, then blue. Temperature down to 1,400 degrees Celsius. It can hold, shouted Nora, to applause. But the relief on Jax's face was short-lived. We've used 82% of the liquid. We'll only have a chance to land at 300 meters altitude. Elon leaned into the screen. 300 meters is the altitude we lost on the Falcon's first failed landings. But this time we're different, he said, giving Jax a meaningful look. Because we are different. The engines flickered as Starship initiated the landing ignition, the left wing a red ember. Jax touched the photo of his daughter Luna. Please, he whispered. At an altitude of 50 meters, the last drop of liquid ran out. The images went black. Communication was cut off. The control room was icy silent. Then the image from the external cameras flickered into view. The Starship was lying slightly on its side on the launch pad, but intact. Nora cried. The parachutes are open. Structural integrity has been maintained, she cried. Jack slumped in his seat. We did it. Elon took one last look at the data on the screens as he wiped his sweaty forehead. Is the data recorded? He asked, his voice tired but proud. Jax nodded as he placed Luna's photo in his pocket. Yes, everything is ready for the next flight. Nora smiled, wiping away her tears. We're going to Mars. The applause echoing in the control room was celebrating not just a success, but a new chapter in humanity's space adventure. And the road to the stars was open once more. If you liked it, stay tuned for more stories and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your location in the comments. For more stories, click on the video on your screen right now.